Okay, good morning, class. Again, let's have the continuation of what we had discussed last meeting. Okay, with regards to red blood cells, where are we last meeting? We tackled this. We actually tackled what last meeting? We tackled about the vascular system. What else? The heart. Yes, primarily blood carries carbon dioxide. And oxyhemoglobin, which blood containing oxygen. Okay. We also discussed the original color of the blood. What is the original color of the blood? It's blue. Why? Why blue? Why? There is no oxygen. In the absence of oxygen. Absence of oxygen. No oxygen or the absence of oxygen. Why? Why? What's with oxygen? Yes. Why? What's with oxygen? Because oxygen is reacting towards, or it has a reaction towards, huh? Iron, correct. Towards iron. And what is the reaction of oxygen towards iron? What do you call the reaction? Huh? Oxidation. That's the reaction. That's why we have rust. Sure. How did you connect all of those? Simple. By familiarization. You need to be familiar. Can you hear me, Isha? And Blair?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, loud and clear? Alright. So let's continue with blood. Okay? We already discussed that blood, let me move this one, that blood has no nucleus. Therefore, it cannot be considered as a cell. What is it, or the primary requirement to be considered as a cell? It has a nucleus or a nucleus in a lower form of organism, just like your bacteria. Because your bacteria is a what? A unicellular organism. Okay? They live for about 120 days. Eventually, it will die, replacing you. That is why it's very advisable, it's healthy to donate blood. Because anyway, that blood that you're actually carrying now will eventually die after 120 days. Or in some cases, um less than 120 days. Sure. Are you sure? Yes. How about menstruation? Okay. Sure. Question. Is menstrual blood that dirty? The answer is no. It is the same blood that we have. So what happened there is that's the what? The bursting of the egg cell. Okay? The destruction of egg cell after a month. That's why you have multiperiod. Going back, hemoglobin in red blood cells give red color to the blood, okay, due to the presence again of oxygen reacting to iron or oxidation. There is an oxidation happening in your blood. That's why it's colored red. Okay. Because of this color, red blood cells are called erythrocytes. Erythro or erythros is a Greek word for red, and cyte pertains to a cell. Okay. Before, when they study red blood cells, they found out that these red blood cells attracts, okay, attracts some bacteria attracts also some pathogens. That is why during those time, they tend to examine blood before transfusion. Are you familiar with blood transfusion? Okay. Blood transfusion is actually giving blood to another person through their blood vessels. In Visaya, it's abulu. Yeah. The one in hospitals that needs blood, it needs blood transfusion. It means to say that the blood content in the body of that particular patient is not enough or it cannot sustain the body anymore. Sure. What is the advisable ml or cc to be donated? Advisable is 500 or 400 cc. Usually it's 400 cc or 400 ml in immature patient or individuals. Okay. Hemoglobin is a complex protein that has a strong attraction to oxygen. That is why, again, because it has a strong attraction to oxygen, it attracts oxygen, and therefore it will react to iron to make it red. Okay? What you're actually seeing now is the actual moving of cells or red blood cells or your blood in the bloodstream, as you can see. And this is under microscope. The setting of the electron microscope there is 20 microns. Okay? So these are the actual red blood cells or your blood. Do you have any questions so far? Okay, let's continue. Because of their hemoglobin content, red blood cells are best adapted for carrying oxygen to the body. Yes, definitely. Well, again, when we started the lesson, I already informed you that blood is the fountain of life. It's the river of life. Because again, it carries oxygen. And we are aerobic organism. So we need to say we need oxygen to survive. We need oxygen for metabolic processes. Okay? Compared to the red blood cells in fish, amphibians, reptiles, and birds, those mammals are smaller, measuring about 7 to 8 microns. Okay? In diameter. Because of their small size, red blood cells of mammals actually have more hemoglobin per unit volume than those of the other vertebrates. Thus, they carry more oxygen in proportion to their size. To their size. Red blood cells now are made of red. They are actually came from red bone marrow. Okay, are you familiar with red bone marrow? There are two bone marrows in our body, the red and the white. Okay, red bone marrow of flat bones such as rib and long bones such as thigh bone. Here, so that is the area wherein your red blood cells is actually formed. That is why there is a big possibility or there is a big problem if this area is affected because this is the site where red blood cells are actually created or manufactured. Okay, long bones. Blood cells, including red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood platelets, are formed from special connective tissues referred to as hemocytoblasts. Hemocytoblasts, these are the area, these are cells that creates, again, red blood cells, white blood cells, and blood plasma, even platelets. Okay? Okay, please take down the important details, important terminologies. Again, do not memorize. Can you still hear me, Blair and Tisha?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Please take down notes also. It's in your screen. Whatever projected here will be seen in your screen. Okay. By the way, I am requiring everybody to get a book. You need to purchase a book. Why? In eventuality, we will have face to face, full face to face, and all the activities are in the book, except for the laboratory, because the laboratory is with me. But the rest of the activities are in the book, right? Okay, let's move forward. Let's continue with the white blood cells. Okay, your natural defense. What's with the white blood cells? Okay, white blood cells are generally larger but fewer than red blood cells. They are actually fewer, but larger than the red blood cells. 1 milliliter of healthy human blood, regardless of gender, contains 5,000 to 10,000 white blood cells. They differ from one another in the shape of their nuclei or nucleus and their staining properties. Because, again, your white blood cells has a lot of forms. It depends upon the purpose, it depends upon the function of that white blood cell. Okay. Remember that we have a lot also of pathogens in the environment and we are adapting to it. Once we adapt to it, we are actually creating what? A defense against it. That's how we gain defense. That's how we gain immunity. Okay? Even even SARS-CoV, your COVID, okay, you're actually adapting to it. Sure, how? Your vaccines are actually helping you out. Because of your vaccines, okay, we created white blood cells, we create defense, we created antibody against it. That is actually very important. It is. I recommended everybody to please have your vaccine. Do not be afraid because it is scientifically proven. Okay? They move like amoeba or amoeboid motion. Are you familiar with amoeba? I will let you see the actual amoeba soon under the microscope. It looks like a whip. Okay? It changes its shape. It actually moves through its ciliated, the hair-like structure, and it looks like a circle moving around. Okay? They engulf bacteria because they have amoeboid motion. They can actually capture, okay, the foreign body that enters our body, that invades our body. That's how we actually protect our body. Okay, and other foreign materials in the blood. In fact, they engulf even injured and then tissue cells to protect the cell. Okay, whenever there is an infection in the body, some of them leave the bloodstream and go to the site of infection, such as skin sore, or a wound. That is actually the term there for the leaving of white blood cells from the stream going to the site of infection is called leukocyte trafficking. So leukocyte trafficking is actually a mechanism that these white blood cells eventually move to the site of infection. Why? Because there are a lot of foreign body entering the bloodstream. So they need to go to the site of infection. Okay. That is the reason also, if you are wounded, okay, you need to clean the area of the wound. But they don't. Using alcohol. Okay, careful with the usage of alcohol. Alcohol is a disinfectant. You see, disinfectant, it can actually kill the bacteria on the surrounding the wound. But do not put it in the wound. Why? Because it can damage the cell. Okay? Your cells are already exposed. What should be done there? Okay, you disinfect the surrounding of the wound and you put what? Betadine solution, potassium iodide. Potassium iodide can actually help, okay, protect the wound. itself because again it can actually kill the wound. In fact, it can actually kill the bacteria. In fact, it is actually used in the laboratory for fixing bacteria, for staining method. Fixing meaning preserving because it can actually kill the bacteria. Lymphocytes produce certain proteins known as antibodies, okay, which act against foreign substances. Unlike other types of blood cells, lymphocytes are made in the lymph or lymph nodes. Okay, they live for about 4 hours to 10 days. Lymphocytes. Okay, your lymphocytes also are responsible in the creation of antibodies against COVID-19. How? Again, through what? Through your vaccinations. Okay, you're actually injected with protein from COVID-19 in their spike proteins. In their spikes. It is called spike proteins. So surrounding the virus are actually spikes. Okay? Because it is a coronavirus. These spikes, they remove one of that spike and they injected it in your body in order for you to create antibody against it. That's how we do it. Okay? Can we move forward? Blood platelets. Okay. Have you heard about blood platelets? Who experienced dengue here? Dengue. Your siblings, your family member, dengue. This is actually the one damaged by the dengue virus. Hmm. Have you tried dengue? Okay. So you have around every day you will have CBC, complete blood count. So in your CBC, they're actually looking at the blood platelets. Okay? Because this is actually the one being damaged by the dengue virus. Okay? So let's take a look at what is in the platelet. Why is it very important that we have blood platelets or the level of the blood platelet is in normal level. Otherwise, you will be what? Your body will experience deterioration and eventually death. Blood platelets are not cells. By the way, in dengue hemorrhagic fever, you're actually fighting against dehydration also. So again, I am advising everybody in case you will have dengue, you need to take a lot of fluids. It's to fight against dehydration. Okay? Blood platelets are not cells. They are not. They do not have nuclei. Of course, they are fragments from large cells called megakaryocytes. Okay? In the bone marrow, still in the bone marrow. Be careful, especially boys. Remember, our site where blood cells or red blood cells and this blood platelets created is in the red bone marrow, in your hips, in your long bones. Be careful of the hazing. Okay? I'm warning everybody. I'm warning you. Why? Once your hips and your long bones are damaged, you cannot create a red blood cell in your body. And it will actually what? It will actually give you severe anemia because you cannot create blood in eventuality. That's why you need to be careful. It's good to have friends, but you need to choose your friends. Right? They live for about 3 to 5 days. They play important role in the clotting of the blood or blood clot. Okay? 1 milliliter of blood contains about 250,000 blood platelets. Okay? 1 milliliter contains 250,000 blood platelets. Let's continue. Clotting of the blood or clotting of blood. How can we have the clotting? When? How and when can we have the clotting or the clotting mechanism of our body. Okay? How does clot form? Okay? What substances in the blood help in forming a clot? Among the substances in the blood, the following help the clotting of the blood. Fibrinogen, fibrin. Fibrin meaning it's fibers. It actually resembles into fibers. Thromboplastin. Thromboplastin is to harden it. It's a white liquid, white fluid. You can actually observe this if after the wound, it will actually release a watery substance, a fluid that is actually thromboplastin, thrombin, and calcium ions. Okay? The first three are all blood proteins. The fourth is a part of inorganic salt, your ions, calcium ions. Okay? That is also very important to take calcium because again, it is part of the clotting mechanism. Without calcium, tendency is you find it hard to have a clot. Question: is it important to have a blood clot? Let's have pros and cons. Okay, positive and negative effect. What are the positive effects of clot? Think about it. Think about what if there is no clot? What do you think? Anybody? Do you have any question by the way, Tisha and Blair? Tisha and Blair.
No, sir.
You sure? How about Tisha? Tisha, do you have any question?
None.
Okay. So again, going back to the question, what if there is no blood clot? Sure, blood clot is the major problem. It is a major cause of stroke. It's blood clot also. So question, what if there is no blood clot? Any idea? If there is no clotting mechanism, therefore if you're actually wounded, you will bled to death. And aside from that, again, there are some cases of hemophilia. Are you familiar with hemophilia? That is the an ability to have blood clot, hemophilic. So hemophilic patient usually bleed every now and then. So the nose, that's a genetic disorder. So you can actually get that one in your parents or in your genes. Let's move forward. The major events during formation that the formation are following. Injured or dying cells and destroyed blood platelets release certain enzyme. Okay? In the presence of that enzyme, blood protein thromboplastin is formed. Okay? That is because of the enzyme. If there are some injured or there are some dying cells. In the presence, that is why these dying cells are actually what? Red blood cells in the bloodstream. It will create what? Thrombus. That's a ball of dead red blood cell. And it might stuck in your bloodstream, which causes stroke and cardiac arrest. Okay? In the presence of thromboplastin and calcium ions, the blood protein prothrombin, please take note of the terminologies, becomes thrombin, converted because of, again, the presence of thromboplastin. In the presence of thrombin, the blood protein fibrinogen, okay, which forms a fiber, is converted into insoluble protein called fibrin. Okay? Fibrin forms a soft network in which the red blood cells and plasma gets entangled. They actually entangled, forming mesh. It forms a mesh or a net so that blood will not overflow or blood will not come out. That's for the protection also because that is an open wound. Yes, blur, excessive bleeding, correct. Okay, that is the case of hemophilia. Okay, please take down the important details. Are we still good? Let's take it slowly. No, you cannot actually use your phone. You just write the important details. Anyway, you have your book. You can actually see this in your book. I actually aligned all of my PPTs for powerful presentations in your book. That is why, again, I am encouraging everybody. Okay, this is compulsory to buy the book, especially in major subjects. You just tell your parents. Okay, that again, major subjects are required to have the book because of this. Have you seen the terminologies? There are a lot of terminologies in your book. Okay, my concern is how can you familiarize those if you don't have the book? You highlight the terminology. That's how we study, even in medicine. We usually highlight the important details in the book because you cannot memorize all of them. Even I cannot memorize all of them, but I can familiarize. Okay, shall we continue? The major events of blood clotting were stated here with two reasons. First, it is important for you to learn how substances in the body interact in bringing about chemical changes. We are actually a product of chemical reaction. Okay, these are chemical reactions in our body. Number one. Okay, chemical reactions are okay. Your mood swings are chemical reactions. Your feelings and love is chemical reaction. They are all chemical reactions in our body. Your starvation, you feel starving, that is chemical reaction. When we digest food, that is chemical reaction. So we are all chemical reactions. We need to understand the chemical reactions happening in our body. Okay. Second, this is a good example of how an inorganic salt like calcium ion or calcium ions functions in the body. We have a lot of inorganic salt in our body. Okay. One good example is calcium ion. Next is sodium. Okay. We have sodium also. Next, potassium. So we have a lot of inorganic salt. Okay. This, when you say inorganic, you cannot actually manufacture this one. It should be from the outside source. Okay? That is why we have vitamins, we have minerals to supplement our body with the need of this. Otherwise, we will not have this one. Because again, we cannot manufacture those. Those are inorganic. Inorganic, we need to say it's not natural, naturally made to the body. It needs an external source. Blood types, again, the major blood typing that we have as of the moment is the ABO system. Okay, A, B, A, B, A, and B, A, B, and O. So ABO system. That's ABO system. The history of blood typing started when the scientist named Carl Landsteiner discovered two kinds of substances called antigen and antibodies. Okay, Carl is a microbiologist. Okay, in human blood, the antigens are referred to simply as A and B. Okay, antigen A and antigen B, antibodies A, antibodies B. Okay, their corresponding antibodies are referred to anti-A or anti-B. Okay, antibodies for A and antibodies for B. This is the main reason why when you have blood transfusion, you need to double check on your blood type, including the RH factor, the plus and the negative. Some of you are A plus, A negative. Okay, some of you are B plus, B negative. This is the main reason why we need to know because again, in that particular blood type, it has an antibody against the next or the next blood type. Let's take a look at what happened if we're gonna mix blood. Okay, the antigens are found in the red blood cells while the antibodies are dissolved in the serum of the blood. Okay, right? Please take down important notes, details. Okay, let's continue. People are grouped in four classifications according to the presence and absence or combination of these antigens or antibodies. The table gives the four blood types. Type A has antigen A. Okay. Type B has antigen B. See? Type AB has both antigens A and B. And type O has neither A or B. That is why type O is considered as universal donor because again it has neither A or B antigen. Type AB is a universal recipient. It can receive in any blood. Okay, because AB has antigen for A and B. Okay, so again, blood type A has antigen, okay, A, which has also an antibody for B. So if you're gonna transfuse type B in a type A person, that person will eventually die of blood clotting or blood clumping. Why? Because again, type A has an antibody of B. So it will fight against that particular blood and have blood clumping. That's the reason behind. Okay? Type B has an antigen for B, but has also an antibody for A. So if you're gonna transfuse again type A to a type B person, that person will eventually die of blood clotting or blood clumping. Okay, these red blood cells will bump to each other and create clot. Okay, type AB, okay, has an antigen for AB, okay, and has an antibody neither from the two, A and B. So it can actually receive in any blood type because it has A and B. But before transfusion, since this is a universal recipient, before transfusion, we have cross matching. Okay, we have cross matching. So we need to cross examine first, mix it with a petri dish, okay, the laboratory. If there is no or if there are no clotting happening there, it is compatible. Compatibility check, compatible. So you need to proceed to what? Transfusion. But if there is some clotting happening, it should not be transfused. Otherwise, that particular patient will die. Okay? Type O has neither an antigen for A and B, okay, and it has antibody for A and B. So it can actually what? Donate. Universal donor. So if you are type AB or AB, type A, type B, or type AB, you can actually receive blood from type O. But before anything else, it needs to be much if it is compatible. Or sometimes the rhesus factor also may affect. Are you familiar with rhesus factor? RH is in higher. RH is the one responsible for making your blood type A plus or type A negative, A plus A negative, B plus B negative. Okay, scientists observe that there are some factor that affects also blood with this rhesus factor. Okay, this RH factor came from monkeys, chimpanzees actually. Okay, they observed this also in chimpanzees. So let's move forward. Each blood type also contains an antibody against an antigen that is absent in the blood. Okay? A person cannot have antibody against his or her own antigen, or else the person will die. Okay? If he or she has, it will result to clumping, the one that I'm telling you a while ago, of the red blood cells. The clumps of the red blood cells will clog the capillaries and cause death. That's how important blood typing is. That is also very important for you to know your blood type for emergency purpose. Okay? This was essentially what happened many times during blood transfusions before 1900s because they don't have yet the knowledge about blood typing.